Part 48. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi-Sing Cao. Chapter 473. 471. Zhou Yuanchao frowned, not understanding why the boss was so calm. When someone robbed him of his labor, shouldn't the boss fight and make a scene? Boss, tell me, what are your plans? Zhou Yuanchao asked. He couldn't guess what the boss was thinking. Huo Yingzhi smiled and said, "Don't worry, drink some water, I'll tell you slowly." When Zhou Yuanchao heard what Huo Yingzhi said, he picked up the cup and took a few sips. He was less angry and not as impatient as before. It's very simple. Someone wants to take advantage of it, Huo Yingzhi said. Our project is very important. As long as it is completed, you can get a high reward and leave your name in history. The people below need rewards, the people above need fame, wealth, and merit. But it's too ugly for those people to be so popular, Zhou Yuanchao said. We work so hard, we can't let them take away all our work, right? You are from the Huo family, are those people deliberately targeting you? Or Director Qian and others don't know your family background and situation at all? He, they have the information of everyone who can work here, how could they not know? Huo Yingzhi sneered. These people are obviously going to deal with the Huo family. Then your Huo family is so powerful, isn't it too reckless for those people to do this? Zhou Yuanchao said. In his heart, the Huo family is also a very influential family force. Although our Huo family is not unknown, it is not impressive in the eyes of those people, Huo Yingzhi said coldly. Because of his experience in his previous life, he would definitely not easily expose it. If it was before, he might have just accepted it, but now. Not only did he want to break those people's teeth, he also wanted to poison them to death. Then, what should we do? Zhou Yuanchao saw the boss's sinister expression, and he knew that the boss's mood was not as calm as it seemed. That's good. He was really worried that the boss would suffer such a loss and would not be able to raise his head for the rest of his life. Haha, wait, Huo Yingzhi said, when you work in the future, you must pay attention. If you encounter something you don't understand, you can come back and tell me. At the same time, you must observe other people to see if they have added or changed anything else in our project. Boss, are you suspicious? Zhou Yuanchao was in doubt. Their plan had been carefully calculated and tested, and had achieved the optimal state. No matter how it changed, the effect was not as good as they had originally planned. Yes, after those people got the plan, they would make some dog-tailed modifications to show their ability and deny my efforts, Huo Yingzhi said with contempt. You also know that people who can do such things are shameless, but they are also afraid of being scolded by others. If they make modifications based on my plan and can also manufacture it, in this case, they will only say that my previous plan was not good and they made some improvements. As for whether those improvements are really good, how many people will care? Zhou Yuanchao nodded, feeling bitter, and said, hey, will our hard work be wasted by those people? Haha, my plan is not something that everyone can change. If there are differences, you don't have to argue with those people, you just have to do your job well. You and I have a good relationship, and the work assigned to you is probably some unimportant work. Don't be impatient, when the time comes, you will have the opportunity to deal with them. Huo Yingzhi said, by the way, just tell me what changes they have made. Well, I know, boss. Zhou Yuanchao saw that the boss was confident, and he was not as angry as before. Since the boss said so, there is a strategy to deal with it, he just needs to do it according to the boss's words. Zhou Yuanchao was in a depressed mood, and Huo Yingzhi comforted him, good things take time, don't be too sad. When this matter is over, maybe we can go back to the institute in Nanji. I don't want to stay here. Me too, I don't want to stay here either, Zhou Yuanchao said in a muffled voice. We work hard to contribute to the institute. This is our ideal and mission, but what have we gained? Are we just gunmen for scientific research? Huo Yingzhe was angry, but was it useful to be angry? People clearly want to rob you of your things, and if you resist, what awaits you is a catastrophe. Director Qian and Chen Hui's attitude is very simple. They only want to seize the results in Huo Yingzhe's hands, but they don't think about killing Huo Yingzhe. This is not only because Huo Yingzhe is an excellent scientific and technological personnel, but also because of the power of the Huo family. Yes, I am not willing to accept it either, Huo Yingzhe said. They all know the national justice and the national justice, but they don't want to be treated unfairly. General Engineer Sun must have felt the same as us back then, Zhou Yuanchao said. Even though General Engineer Sun still has no personal freedom, he still works hard and does not care about gains and losses. Maybe, Huo Yingzhe said, we can't do the national justice like General Engineer Sun, but we are also patriotic. It's just that my patience is limited. Those people have gone too far, and I will make them pay the price. General Engineer Sun has suffered so many grievances and made so many contributions in his life. Apart from the people around him who know his contributions and the leaders above who know, who else knows? Huo Yingzhe, Zhou Yuanchao sometimes often feels injustice for General Engineer Sun. One time, Huo Yingzhe couldn't help but talk. Mr. Sun smiled freely and said to him, if I paid attention to fame, wealth and material life, I would never come back. I don't care about fame and fortune, I only hope that what he learns can make him stronger, and nothing else matters. Furthermore, he is not treated badly, and his material life is guaranteed. Such noble sentiments put Huo Yingzhe to shame. Huo Yingzhe could not do this in his past life and this life, so he admired Mr. Sun even more. Stubbornly cute and admirable. Huo Yingzhe can't do this. If you don't steal mine, I won't steal yours. If you rob me, I will also rob your family. Hey, stop talking and go to sleep, Zhou Yuanchao said in a muffled voice. Although he was hungry, he didn't want to eat anymore. Even if Huo Yingzhe had a plan in his mind, he was not so ambitious that he didn't care at all and went to eat carelessly. The next day, Team Leader Chen took Cheng Hui to the office where Huo Yingzhe used to work. Team Leader Chen's team, after Huo Yingzhe and Zhou Yuanchao left, had some achievements, but the work progress was much slower, and there were more or less problems with the plan, which was barely usable. Not satisfactory. This is Director Qian's evaluation of Team Leader Chen. 3 updates a day, 6,000 words, at 7 a.m., 12 p.m., and 18 p.m. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 474. 472. Director Qian didn't know how someone like Team Leader Chen could be connected with that person. How could someone like Cheng Hui work under Team Leader Chen? What is the connection between them? Huo Yingzhe, Lao Chen, please hand over the work, Director Qian said, because Director Chen has been seconded to take charge of Huo Yingzhe's precision instrument project. Now there is no one in charge of Team Leader Chen's project. Huo Yingzhe, you go over and take charge. Right. It's all for the sake of producing results as soon as possible, so everyone must obey the arrangements. Director Qian looked at Huo Yingzhe thoughtfully. This was the biggest concession he could get for Huo Yingzhe. Huo Yingzhe already knew about the dispute between Director Qian and Team Leader Chen and Cheng Hui last night through Director Qian. Director Qian did have unspeakable difficulties. He helped him win the leadership of a group. He must not have wanted Huo Yingzhe to hold a grudge or become depressed. Director Qian's intention was good, but Huo Yingzhe didn't appreciate it. Now that this is the case, Huo Yingzhe has no choice. Huo Yingzhe, hurry up. The task is heavy and the time is tight. Let's hand it over quickly, Team Leader Chen said, feeling very proud. Because of the departure of Huo Yingzhe and Zhou Yuanchao, he was disgraced. In addition, the subsequent work was not going smoothly. He didn't have an easy time here. 2 days ago, his student suddenly came over and asked him to take over Huo Yingjia's job. He was shocked and thought Cheng Hui was joking. Only now did team leader Chen realize that this was not a joke, it was real, and he had really become the person in charge of this project. Although he hates Huo Yingjia, team leader Chen has to admit Huo Yingjia's excellence, and at the same time, he pays more attention to Huo Yingjia's work projects. The project in Huo Yingjia's hands has come to an end. Why was he transferred in the final stage? He asked Cheng Hui carefully, but Cheng Hui said he didn't know. Although team leader Chen may not have much professional knowledge, he is quite familiar with these hidden twists and turns. Thinking that Cheng Hui was introduced by that person, he vaguely understood what was going on. Haha, no matter what, this credit will soon be his. Team leader Chen is very happy and doesn't care about the empty ones. Huo Yingjia smiled and said, "That's natural." Team leader Chen is highly respected and has solid professional skills. He will definitely have better suggestions and plans and will make breakthroughs based on my original ones. Team leader Chen smiled and said, "Young people, it's good to have a flexible mind, but experience is also important." "That's right, but I believe that my plan is the best. I have this confidence. I hope that team leader Chen will not modify my plan even if he is experienced. You know, I have outstanding abilities and am a genius." Mr. Huo Yingjia after rising, it stimulates team leader Chen. Huo Yingjia has seen too many people like this. If he keeps showing weakness, perhaps team leader Chen will not change it. On the contrary, if he requests that team leader Chen cannot make changes, this person will also make some changes for the sake of face. As long as he made changes, Huo Yingjia would have an opportunity. Haha, young man, don't be complacent. Team leader Chen looked ugly. He had looked at it before and knew that Huo Yingjia's plan was excellent and it would be best if he didn't modify it. However, Huo Yingjia said so, unless he was shameless, he would definitely there are some modifications to be made. No, this is not complacency, this is confidence. Huo Yingjia said, "Haha, it's understandable that team leader Chen doesn't understand the world of our geniuses. Humph. Please hand over the work as soon as possible." Team leader Chen sneered. He could take possession of Huo Yingjia's labor results right away anyway, so he didn't care. Huo Yingjia shrugged and said, "In view of the previous unpleasantness, I think team leader Chen should hand over first." Huo Yingjia was not a fool. If after he handed over, team leader Chen's shabby team was unwilling to cooperate with him, or team leader Chen was unwilling to hand over, then Huo Yingjia would waste a lot of energy cleaning up the mess for team leader Chen. "You." Team leader Chen glared angrily, "Things have priorities. This precision instrument project is very urgent. You can't ignore the overall situation." Haha, Huo Yingjia was not annoyed and sneered, "If I don't care about the overall situation, I can let you take over my project so quickly and pretend to take my credit." Team leader Chen is really good and thick-skinned. He must have practiced it. Hihaoxiu. This is an organizational arrangement. If you are not satisfied, you can go to Director Qian. Team leader Chen said angrily, "Young people, don't be frivolous and respect your elders." "Elder," Huo Yingjia smiled, "you deserve it too." After saying that, he turned around and left. "Huo Yingjia, where are you going?" Seeing that Huo Yingjia was leaving, Cheng Hui stepped forward to pull Huo Yingjia away. Just when Cheng Hui put his hand on Huo Yingjia's shoulder, Huo Yingjia had already held Cheng Hui's arm with his backhand. The little spin turtle took advantage of this opportunity and quickly read Cheng Hui's memory. "Haha, that's right, it's that person." Huo Yingjia became even more convinced. "Of course I'm going to hand over the situation," Huo Yingjia said, "I don't mind if you don't go. I will sort it out slowly." The fruits of Huo Yingjia's labor were taken away, so he had a bad temper and got into trouble, which in the eyes of many people was a very normal behavior. Even though team leader Chen clamored to find Director Qian, he just said so and did not go. Because he has a guilty conscience, he is unreasonable. Huo Yingzhe, you have the guts, team leader Chen said. Cheng Hui, let's go over and see what Huo Yingzhe wants. Zhou Yuanchao, Sun Chenzi, and others outside did not know about these struggles. When they found out that Huo Yingzhe was kicked back to his previous group, they were shocked and confused. To be honest, they wanted to go with Huo Yingzhe, but they couldn't let go of their current project, which was their hard work. Boss, Zhou Yuanchao didn't want to care about what happened to others, but he wanted to follow the boss. Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, aiding Korea, this project has everyone's contribution, so please work hard and don't waste this rare opportunity. Boss. Sun Chenzi was embarrassed. Boss, we will come find you after our mission is completed. Well, we are still a good team. Come on, Huo Yingzhe said, looking at the others. Those people did not dare to speak in front of team leader Chen, nor did they dare to comfort Huo Yingzhe. In fact, Huo Yingzhe also knew the difficulties of these people. They were just colleagues who worked together, not close relatives or friends, so there was no need for them to offend team leader Chen for Huo Yingzhe. After all, the future results are in the hands of team leader Chen. Okay, everyone, take care. Huo Yingzhe nodded and walked in front. Team leader Chen knew that Huo Yingzhe was difficult to deal with, but he didn't expect that Huo Yingzhe had such a vicious mouth. When team leader Chen handed over the work, he almost went berserk. Resume 3 updates a day, 6,000 words, updated at 7 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 18:00. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 475. 473. Every penny counts, and sometimes it can bring an inexplicable sense of pleasure. Haha, there is obviously a way to save a lot of materials, but you choose the most wasteful method. I admire you. Look, it's like this again, team leader Chen. If you weren't an old scientist, I would doubt whether you did it on purpose. Oh my God, how could you do this? Don't you know how dangerous it is? Have you done rigorous calculations? By the way, have you never studied calculus? And so on. When Huo Yingzhe saw a mistake, he just said it once, which made team leader Chen blush and almost go berserk. You. Team leader Chen glared angrily. Huo Yingzhe, you don't want a villain to succeed, you're going too far. It's a joke. Huo Yingzhe sneered. It's obvious that you guys robbed my things, and you are a villain, but you still don't let me talk about it. Besides, there is indeed something wrong with your previous content. On this point, don't deny. Before Huo Yingzhe pointed it out, team leader Chen might have thought he had done a good job. But Huo Yingzhe is a shrewd little chicken thief. He is so shrewd that he can point out the problem at once. Do you have any more questions? Team leader Chen looked livid. If there are no questions, it's your turn to hand over. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Huo Yingzhe clicked his tongue and shook his head, looking at the files in front of him. Let's stop here for now. There are so many. I will sort them out slowly in the future. If there is anything I don't understand, I will ask team leader Chen for advice. Previously, Huo Yingzhe was worried that team leader Chen would not admit his fault afterwards, but he thought that his project was even more difficult. There was a lot of work that no one else was involved in, and only he knew what was going on. In this case, given team leader Chen's level, it is estimated that someone will be sent to question him in the future, so Huo Yingzhe is not worried about team leader Chen deliberately making things difficult for him. Now that you've said that, why don't you leave quickly? Team leader Chen said angrily. He didn't want to stay here for a moment, especially when there were other team members outside. When these people saw team leader Chen in front of Huo Yingzhe, they didn't dare to get angry. They could only swallow their anger and secretly thought that they could not embarrass Huo Yingzhi in the future. After all, team leader Chen is gone, and they still have to make ends meet under Huo Yingzhi. Cheng Hui has been watching the furious team leader Chen from the side, while he also looks at Huo Yingzhi, who is calm and steady and constantly criticizing. Cheng Hui vaguely felt that something was wrong, but thinking about Huo Yingzhi's reaction, it was normal. After all, no one could watch the fruits of their labor being taken away without being angry. But what made him even more curious was that Huo Yingzhi didn't fly into a rage. He had been mentally prepared for Huo Yingzhi to make a fuss, and even made arrangements to deal with Huo Yingzhi's resistance. However, it was all in vain. Okay, Huo Yingzhi said, it's all for the country. It's our duty to do so. Huo Yingzhi followed Director Chen to Huo Yingzhi's office. Director Chen read it over and asked some questions. Huo Yingzhi's poisonous tongue once again showed its terrifying venom. Haha, Team Leader Chen must understand such a simple question, so I won't say more. Huo Yingzhi smiled, not angry at all. Team Leader Chen cursed in his mind, if I could figure it out, I would still ask you. But on the surface, Team Leader Chen couldn't say that. He could only frown and said, Huo Yingzhi, please correct your attitude. Now that the mission has reached its most critical moment, your lack of cooperation will seriously affect my work progress. I understand this, but if I continue to spend time studying it, it will be a waste of manpower and material resources. Haha, Team Leader Chen is right, Huo Yingzhi said, then I said it, please listen carefully. Huo Yingzhi gave a brief overview of the entire project from beginning to end, highlighted the key points, and pointed out areas that needed attention. Huo Yingzhi put a lot of effort into this project. He always kept in mind the contents of his own analysis and thinking, he also knew the contents of other team members. That's why I understand this project so well. Cheng Hui secretly praised in his heart, no wonder the superiors wanted to move Huo Yingzhi away. As long as Huo Yingzhi was allowed to show his face, they would not be able to stop him in the future. Team leader Chen complained secretly in his heart. He also remembered a few points of what Huo Yingzhi said, but after all, he only said it once, remembering the latter and forgetting the previous. He really wanted to record it in a small book, but in front of so many people, he couldn't save his face. Because whenever he spoke or took a notebook to record, Huo Yingzhi would laugh at his poor memory. Although team leader Chen was happy today because he got this project and the credit, he also experienced a painful day. The total number of ridicules he received in his life was not as much as this day. After Huo Yingzhi finished speaking, he chuckled and said, Team leader Chen, I said it so carefully. You are so good, I must have memorized everything. Team leader Chen mentally asked about the special secret parts of all the female relatives in Huo Yingzhi's family countless times. Yes, I probably understand, but just to be cautious, I might bother Xiao Huo again in the future, team leader Chen said with a smile. If it weren't for this huge credit, he wouldn't to be so angry. In that case, I'll take my leave. Huo Yingzhi smiled, took away his usual tools, checked them, and left the office with a box in his arms. When passing outside, Zhou Yuanchao, Sun Chenzi and others came over. Boss. Although he was mentally prepared, Zhou Yuanchao still felt filled with sadness. Okay, no need to send it off, everyone works hard. Huo Yingzhi turned around, smiled, nodded, and strode out of the place where he had stayed for almost 3 years. When Huo Yingzhi came, he came in despair. When I left, I was still feeling dejected. It's so depressing, proving his failure. But Huo Yingzhi has never been one to give up just because of a temporary failure. Unless those who want to deal with him kill him all at once, Huo Yingzhi will accumulate energy and find his own place sooner or later. J. Huo Yingzhi came to a group of small automated machinery, which was the group led by team leader Chen. Everyone was very worried. When Huo Yingzhi left, these people also helped a lot. Now Huo Yingzhe is back again. Although he was forced to come here, he is their leader after all, and he is worried that Huo Yingzhe will make things difficult for them. After Huo Yingzhe came in, everyone stared at Huo Yingzhe. Huo Yingzhe glanced at everyone and said, "Get ready first and sort out what you are responsible for. We will have a meeting in 5 minutes. Yes." Sparse responses. I wonder what kind of medicine Huo Yingzhe is selling in the gourd. However, they all felt that Huo Yingzhe had some bad intentions. We'll continue the third update tomorrow. Old time, 7 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1800 hours. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 476. 474. 5 minutes later, Huo Yingzhe was already sitting in the main seat in the conference room. Everyone was worried, but a few elderly people looked even more embarrassed. In the past, maybe they could say that Huo Yingzhe was young and energetic, but now he is young, but he also has the capital to be energetic. He has outstanding work and completed so many tasks in such a short time, which deserves everyone's respect. Huo Yingzhe saw everyone coming and thought about working together in the future. Huo Yingzhe didn't think about what he could do in the future. After all, it was a big blow to him this time, and he was a little passive in his heart. However, Huo Yingzhe did not want the team he led to be criticized. Huo Yingzhe looked around at the dozen or so people around him, nodded slightly and said, "The past is over. I don't want to mention it anymore. I hope you don't think too much about it. The most important thing is, what will happen in the future. I only look at the work process and results. Others I won't pay too much attention to things." When everyone saw what Huo Yingzhe said, they felt relieved, as long as Qiu Ho didn't settle the score. Huo Yingzhe arranged the work, and then everyone dispersed. Although some people wanted to flatter Huo Yingzhe went directly to the office. He had divided up the previous tasks and he would not get his hands on them. Whether team leader Chen did well or badly, he didn't want to pay attention to it. He only wanted to complete the tasks in Xinji's hands. The new project was very simple. Huo Yingzhe had already made a list, and then handed the list to the two groups of people below for them to work on it. Huo Yingzhe had already given a reminder. If these people couldn't finish it yet, he didn't know what to say. Huo Yingzhe spent most of his time in the office and didn't work as hard as before. Therefore, after only a few days, he had eaten well, drank enough, and slept well, and he was a little fatter than before. Only with a broad heart can you gain weight. "Boss, I can finally rest assured that you are not depressed," Zhou Yuanchao said. He felt sorry for the boss in his heart, but he was too weak to help the boss. Huo Yingzhe took 2 apples, washed them and gave one to Zhou Yuanchao, and said, "Eat some fruit. By the way, how are you doing there?" In fact, Huo Yingzhe knew the big trend there. He had read the memories of team leader Chen and Cheng Hui before, but Huo Yingzhe didn't know what the people below were like. He had to get some information from Zhou Yuanchao. Zhou Yuanchao smiled bitterly and said, "Except for Chenzi, who still thinks of you well, everyone else went to flatter team leader Chen. If team leader Chen had any problems, they all gathered around to help solve them. Now in the team, Chenzi and I are the only ones relatively relaxing. Haha, those people are just our colleagues. They do this for work. There is no need for you to be disappointed." Huo Yingzhe comforted, "At least there is Chenzi." "Hey, I can only comfort myself like this." Zhou Yuanchao was convinced. The boss was so kind to them, and he could not stop them from leaving. "Okay, is your work going well?" Huo Yingzhe asked. "Have they changed our previous plan?" "Not yet, but not necessarily in the future," Zhou Yuanchao said. During the meeting today, team leader Chen was so talkative and high-spirited that he was probably a little inflated. At this rate, there will probably be problems down the line. Haha, just wait for him to have problems." Huo Yingzhe smiled and said, "Yuanchao, Please continue to pay attention and notify me in time if anything happens. I know, Boss Zhou Yuanchao said. In fact, Huo Yingzhe also knew that Zhou Yuanchao could not get any useful information, but he did not want Zhou Yuanchao to feel resentful every day and affect Zhou Yuanchao's future. Time flies so fast, a month and a half has passed. During this period, Huo Yingzhe got some information one after another. Team leader Chen and Cheng Hui really made changes to the original plan. If used individually, there may not be a problem, but when integrated into a missile, a few small pieces of data may have a huge impact. The summer is hot and very hot. Huo Yingzhe got a project, and the final test phase was going to be in the open space outside. Huo Yingzhe applied early and took people outside for testing as scheduled. The test went very well and will probably be completed by noon. While Huo Yingzhe was busy, team leader Chen also started outdoor experiments. Team leader Chen also knew that Huo Yingzhe was experimenting in another direction, so he specifically told Cheng Hui below to pay attention. However, God's calculations are not as good as those of man. The mechanical debris fell not far from Huo Yingzhe and his party. The little spin turtle opened the barrier in a short time to protect Huo Yingzhe, but due to the short time and the great power of the big guy outside, Huo Yingzhe was injured and fainted on the spot. As for the others, without the protection of the little spin turtle's barrier, 4 staff members died on the spot and others were seriously injured. The data from team leader Chen showed that everything was normal. However, after a while, no data on the explosion was obtained, and he gradually realized that something was wrong. At the same time, the rescue team received the news and immediately came to rescue. Seeing such a scene, some young doctors vomited directly. "Hurry up, there are still wounded people." A doctor discovered that someone was still breathing and quickly called for everyone to check. This is a place for experimental tanks. The big crater not far away was obviously caused by the explosion of artillery shells. But this is not what the medical staff should focus on. What they have to do is provide emergency treatment to the wounded in the shortest possible time. Huo Yingzhe's condition was pretty good. Although he was unconscious and had many wounds on his body, they were not fatal. After being sent to the hospital, emergency surgery began. When Director Qian received the news, he was so frightened that he collapsed on the ground. The accident resulted in the death of 4 scientific researchers, serious injuries to 4 staff members, and minor injuries to 3 others. Or did the assistant remind me to quickly organize people to investigate what is going on? The matter was of great importance. Director Qian stood up tremblingly and quickly led people to investigate the specific situation and what was going on. However, the results he got almost made Director Qian collapse. The thing that caused the explosion was actually the latest machine developed for the experiment. When Huo Yingzhe was doing outdoor experiments, team leader Chen was also doing it. What should have appeared at the target location actually deviated by more than 30 degrees and flew to the test site where Huo Yingzhe was. Let's not talk about how bad it is to cause such an accident. The accuracy of the missile is so poor, let alone hitting the target of the enemy country, it might even fall on one of our own people. If it were other matters, Director Qian might be able to cover it up for the big boss, but it's not necessary now because it's impossible to cover it up at all. Director Qian reported it directly to the security department. He knew about this matter and could not hide it. He could only push it out to minimize the harm. Fixed 3 updates and 6000, updated at 7 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 1800 hours. Moi. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 477. Chapter 477, Unconscious. Right. 475. The people from the security department also acted very quickly. They quickly found out the truth and directly detained team leader Chen, Cheng Hui, and Director Qian. Team leader Chen and Cheng Hui had people release these things, and they must be held responsible for this matter. At the same time, people from the security department also found out that Director Qian used his power to put Huo Yingzhe, who was originally in charge of this project, in charge of other projects, and instead put another inexperienced team leader Chen in charge. There is nothing fishy here, no one believes it. This matter was quickly investigated and reported directly. Cheng Hui knew that things were messed up and knew that even if he went out, he would not end well, so he hid himself in the detention center of the secret base and committed suicide. Team leader Chen still doesn't understand why he goes astray when picking up things. It's obviously not calculated like this, right? It must be Huo Yingzhe who harmed me. It must be. Team leader Chen muttered something as if he was crazy, but no one believed him. What awaits team leader Chen will be a severe trial and endless jail time. However, Huo Yingzhe was still in a coma for a week, which made Zhou Yuanchao anxious. "Boss, wake up," Zhou Yuanchao choked. "Boss, those people have been arrested. We can work together again. Wake up quickly." However, Huo Yingzhe was motionless on the hospital bed, as if he was asleep, but he could not hear the sound outside. Seeing Zhou Yuanchao so sad, Sun Chenzi felt very sad. Hey, how could things be like this? They had thought that there would be some deviations in the changes made by team leader Chen, but they did not expect that the deviations would be so big. It's a big deviation, so forget it, but why did it fall on Huo Yingzhe's side? Dr. Bai came in and whispered, "Please keep your voice down, don't disturb the patient's rest." Sun Chenzi took the out-of-control Zhou Yuanchao out of the ward, and then asked the doctor, "Dr. Bai, how is our boss doing now? When can he wake up?" Dr. Bai was quite embarrassed. They checked Huo Yingzhe's body and found no fatal injuries on Huo Yingzhe, but Huo Yingzhe just couldn't wake up. "It's not clear yet, it remains to be seen," Dr. Bai said. "Anyway, we will try our best. But it's not okay for our boss to be like this all the time. He is a good person, but it's not okay to not eat or drink, let alone the boss is injured now," Zhou Yuanchao said. "Dr. Bai, think of a way to get the boss to wake up quickly." "We will try our best." Dr. Bai was not sure and could only say this. "Dr. Bai, our medical conditions here are limited, can you send the boss out for treatment?" Zhou Yuanchao wanted his boss to wake up early and was not afraid of offending the doctor. Dr. Bai looked embarrassed, but he was not angry. After all, they were really helpless now. He nodded and said, "I'll apply to the organization." Zhou Yuanchao, Sun Chenzi came out of the hospital, dejected, sitting on the flower bed in front of the hospital. "Yuanchao, don't worry. The boss is lucky and has great fortune. He will definitely wake up," Sun Chenzi said comfortingly. "You have to cheer up and don't let the boss down." Zhou Yuanchao rubbed his face, raised his head, and held back the tears in his eyes. "I know," Zhou Yuanchao said. "Chenzi, maybe you don't know the boss. The boss is a lifelong good friend. It's been 3 years, it's not a short time, I know that," Sun Chenzi said, "and I'm not stupid, I can see it. My biggest gain from coming here is to get to know you too. It's an honor to be able to work with you. You become friends." "Good brother," Zhou Yuanchao said movedly. "I suspect that someone wants to frame the boss, and I am going to report the situation." "Let's go, I'll go with you," Sun Chenzi said, not taking advantage of those two people. But when they arrived at the security department, they learned that Cheng Hui had bitten his tongue and committed suicide, and team leader Chen went crazy. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? News of the secret base, although concealed, quickly reached the top boss. There are places where high-tech machinery is produced, which is one of the fundamentals. If this was a pure accident, that would be fine, but various signs indicate that this is man-made. Especially when they learned that Huo Yingzhe, the Kailan son of the Huo family, was in a coma and was still awake, the leaders were no longer calm. They quickly told people to take Huo Yingzhe out quickly and provide Huo Yingzhe with the best medical environment. On the one hand, it was because the Huo family had made great achievements this time, but their grandson was knocked unconscious by misfortune. They can't let the Huo family feel cold. On the other hand, Huo Yingzhe is indeed a capable person, especially in scientific and technological research. He has unique talents and must retain the talents of the institute. 3 days later, Dr. Bai met Zhou Yuanshao, and Sun Chenzi came over and said to them, the superiors have agreed to take Comrade Huo Yingzhe out for treatment. If you want to have a look, you can go in for a quarter of an hour. Zhou Yuanshao felt a little more relaxed. The boss was breathing steadily and there was no danger to his life. As for why he didn't wake up, he couldn't understand it. After all, the doctor didn't know the reason. Zhou Yuanshao talked a lot next to Huo Yingzhe, but within a quarter of an hour, he was kicked out by Dr. Bai. Chenzi, the future work will be left to you. I want to apply to go out with the boss. I want to take care of the boss and watch him wake up. Zhou Yuanshao couldn't let go of Huo Yingzhe and was about to give up on the work that was about to be completed. What happens next will be it's up to you. In fact, you just need to follow the boss's previous plan. Sun Chenzi was stunned, grabbed Zhou Yuanshao and said, Yuanshao, you can't act on your own initiative. I know you have a good relationship with the boss, but have you ever thought that this project is the boss's 3 years of hard work? Others don't we know how hard it is? When the boss left on his own, he didn't want us to make trouble because he just wanted us to get this honor. Yes, but what those people did was so heartless, Zhou Yuanshao said with a bitter smile, feeling a little disheartened and losing all hope. Yuan Korea, you have to cheer up, Sun Chenzi said, you are our deputy team leader. If you leave, our team will really fall apart. You stay, and we will complete the fruits of the boss's labor together. When the time comes to reward the merits, we can write the boss's name at the front. On the other hand, if you leave, I won't be able to take the lead on my own. Someone will definitely come back. In this way, it is still unknown whether the boss's name will appear by then. Zhou Yuanshao was stunned, thinking about the hardships and fatigue everyone had suffered in the past 3 years, and the fact that the boss suffered from lovesickness, but still insisted on working. For many days and nights, the boss calculated bit by bit under the lamp and thought hard. The boss has put countless efforts into this, so he just gives up, right? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 478. 476. Seeing Zhou Yuanshao's hesitation, Sun Chenzi continued to persuade, Yuanshao, you are not a doctor. Even if you follow him, you can't help the boss. On the other hand, when the boss goes outside, he will be accompanied by his family and will receive the best medical care. In this case, it will be more meaningful to stay and complete the boss's task. When we complete this project, it will be worthy of the boss's hard work. Zhou Yuanshao hesitated a little and said, but I can't let go of the boss. Now the boss has received attention from above. The boss is from the Huo family. Those people dare not make any small moves. After all, this accident is too bad, Sun Chenzi said, gritting his teeth for the last time. How about this, 8 Korea, you are more powerful than me and have more prestige than me here. You can stay and I will follow the boss, so you can rest assured, right? Sun Chenzi is also a temperamental person. He feels that this project should have the name of the boss. He also participates in this project, and as long as Zhou Yuanshao is around, his name will also be in it. Zhou Yuanshao was very moved, but he knew that this was Sun Chenzi's hard work, and he couldn't be so selfish. At this moment, the newly appointed director Li heard their conversation and came over and said seriously, Huo Yingzhe is unconscious now, and the institute needs you now. I know you are worried about Huo Yingzhe, but please don't worry, We take good care of Huo Yingzhe. Zhou Yuanchao squinted his eyes, still not believing it. Zhang Aijun, Li Yunzong, you should know each other, right? Director Li asked softly. If Zhou Yuanchao and Sun Chenzi left, this project would continue to be delayed. The error is 30 degrees off, and I don't know what team leader Chen did before. Zhou Yuanchao was stunned, nodded, and said, I know him. That's the sergeant sent by our Nanji Science and Technology Research Institute to protect the boss. They will escort Huo Yingzhe to Yanjing. Are you relieved? Director Li asked with a smile and a gentle attitude. Now that something like this happened in the secret base, it caused an uproar and a lot of discussion. Director Li was in a hurry when he was ordered to do something in danger. Then I want to meet Zhang Aijun and Li Yunzong, Zhou Yuanchao said. If it was the two of them, Huo Yingzhe could rest assured. Let's go, I'll take you there, Director Li said, leading Zhou Yuanchao and Sun Chenzi over. There was a helicopter on the spacious landing pad, and medical staff were escorting Huo Yingzhe to the helicopter. Zhou Yuanchao stepped forward quickly and happened to see Zhang Aijun and Li Yunzong standing next to the helicopter. Zhang Aijun, Li Yunzong, Zhou Yuanchao asked eagerly, you must protect the boss. Zhang Aijun nodded solemnly and said, don't worry, Comrade Zhou, we will complete the task and send Comrade Huo to Yanjing safely. Please. Zhou Yuanchao looked at Huo Yingzhe, feeling sad again. General Manager Sun said that you must complete the task. Zhang Aijun whispered in Zhou Yuanchao's ear, you represent the Nanji Science and Technology Research Institute, and you represent Comrade Huo. Hearing this, Zhou Yuanchao nodded and said, as long as the boss is safe, I can work with peace of mind. Go back and tell Mr. Sun to reassure him that I will complete the task as soon as possible and report the good news to him. Well, try hard. Zhang Aijun nodded and got on the plane. Li Yunzong smiled and said, we are waiting for your good news. I will work hard, Zhou Yuanchao said solemnly, watching the plane close the door, turn its wings, fly up, and gradually climb. Watching the plane leave, Zhou Yuanchao had firm eyes, straight back, turned around and left silently. After going back, he readjusted the changes made by team leader Chen, and took out some confidential data that the boss had prepared before to start work. Zhou Yuanchao and Sun Chenzi mobilized their former colleagues to work hard to complete the task as soon as possible. Let's say that under the escort of Zhang Aijun and Li Yunzong, Huo Yingzhe was safely sent to the hospital in Yanjing. Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo were very anxious and came to the hospital to visit Huo Yingzhe. Old man, when do you think Yingzhe will wake up? Mrs. Huo asked with a choked voice while wiping her tears. There are only 2 grandchildren and 1 granddaughter in the family. Let's not talk about the useless granddaughter, but her 2 grandsons are her darlings. If Huo Yingzhe did something bad, Mrs. Huo felt that she wouldn't be able to survive. Mr. Huo was even more distressed than Mrs. Huo, not only because Huo Yingzhe was his beloved grandson, but also because of Huo Yingzhe's contribution to the Huo family over the years. The Huo family is very lucky to have someone similar to Ji Duozing in the family. Once lost, the Huo family will definitely be worse than before. It's okay. The doctor said that Yingzhe's body is fine. It's just that the brain was shocked and the central nervous system was suppressed, which made him unconscious. When he gets enough rest, he will definitely wake up. Mr. Huo comforted his old wife, but these words are not self-comfort. Mrs. Huo looked lovingly at her grandson who was lying down and seemed to be sleeping, nodded and said, I hope my grandson can wake up soon. Huo Zheqian and the Huo family's sister-in-law Song Chunli also hurried over. Zhao Huan took the case and came to check the ward. Huan, how is Yingzhe? Huo Zheqian hurriedly asked his daughter-in-law. He felt the same as his father, hoping that Huo Yingzhe could wake up soon. This time, if Yingzhe hadn't warned him in advance, that person would have probably fled abroad. Fortunately, they took action in advance. Although no one was caught, the plane crashed over Inner Mongolia. This crisis was resolved and great achievements were made again. That person obviously wanted to kill the most capable young man in the Huo family before leaving. If a family does not have outstanding descendants, even if it reaches the pinnacle of power, it will just make wedding clothes for others. Dad, don't worry. Yingzhe is fine physically. He is just mentally affected. He will wake up soon as long as he rests well. Zhao Huan said, my teacher comes here to give Yingzhe acupuncture every day. The effect is not bad. Today his eyes the child moved. Mr. Huo nodded and said, I'm going to thank your teacher in person later. Huan, Yingzhe, it's all your fault. Grandpa, don't worry, we are a family. I will take good care of Yingzhe. Zhao Huan promised that although Huo Yingzhe only returned to Yanjing during the Chinese New Year, he has been an excellent and polite little brother since he was a child, and he is a family member. Zhao Huan was naturally very fond of this only cousin who was highly respected. Father, do you want to tell the second brother and sister? Huo Zheqian asked. Huo Yingzhe is the second brother and sister's only child. Now that something has happened to the child, we have to talk about it. Mr. Huo nodded and said, well, send a telegram to your second brother and sister-in-law, saying that there is something going on at home, and asking the couple to return quickly. Don't say anything else for now, lest they have any accidents on the road. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 479. 477. Poor parents in the world. I understand, Father. Huo Zheqian nodded. If he didn't tell him, the second brother and the second younger brother and sister would definitely be angry in the future. After all, this was their only son. They are both parents, and he understands the feelings of being a parent. Song Chunli was on the side and whispered to persuade, Dad, Mom, you go back first, I will stay here with you. Mr. Huo waved his hand and said, it's okay. I'll stay here for a while to keep Yingzhe company. I hope he can hear us and wake up early. Is this okay? Song Chunli looked at Zhao Huan aside and asked her daughter-in-law what she meant. Zhao Huan nodded and said, the teacher said that you can talk to Yingzhe more. Maybe he can wake up if he hears the voices of his family. That's good. Song Chunli said, Father, Mother, please stop standing. Sit down and rest first. Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo were sitting on the chairs beside Huo Yingzhe's bed. Huo Zheqian went to send a telegram. Huo Zheqian from Nanxi received the telegram and thought something had happened to his parents. He quickly asked for leave from Zhang Lifang, packed a few clothes and got on the train. They didn't buy a ticket, so they paid for it when they got to the bus. When they arrived at the hospital in Yanjing, they found out that it was not their parents who were ill, but Huo Yingzhe who was unconscious. Zhang Lifang was in the ward and broke down crying on the spot. Son, Mom is here, wake up quickly. Zhang Lifang choked, because she was in the ward, she couldn't cry loudly, she could only suppress her cry, the pain condensed in her heart, making Zhang Lifang more painful and uncomfortable. Huo Zheqian felt sad, but he was a man after all, and his wife was crying like this. He could only hug himself tightly and said, our son is blessed with good fortune and will be fine. Stop crying. Maybe he will wake up in a few days. If I could wake up, I would have woken up long ago. Zhang Lifang is also a doctor herself. The more there is nothing wrong on the surface, but she remains unconscious, there must be a reason that they don't know. You can't lose heart. Huo Zheqian blinked and wiped his tears. My son still needs someone to take care of him. If you are sad and fall ill, should you let your parents take care of Yingzhe? Zhang Lifang felt sad and lay in her husband's arms, crying loudly. Mr. Huo, Mrs. Huo and others were all outside, giving the couple a chance to spend time alone with Huo Yingzhe. It also gave their daughter-in-law and son a space to vent. Because of Zhang Lifang's crying, others were also in a very low mood. After a while, Zhang Lifang felt tired, and then she weakly sat beside her son's ward, held her son's hand, and said, "Son, please wake up quickly. Mom, Dad, and grandparents are all worried about you." However, Huo Yingzhe was motionless on the hospital bed, as if he was asleep as before. Zhang Lifang was about to collapse, when Zhao Huan came in with her teacher Dr. Zhang. After introducing each other, Dr. Zhang said, "You guys go out for a while, I'm going to give the patient acupuncture." "Doctor, can I stay here?" Zhang Lifang asked hopefully. She wanted to spend more time with her son. Seeing Zhang Lifang's unstable mood, Dr. Zhang shook his head and said, "You are very emotional and cannot stay here. Once you can't stand it, making noise will affect me, which will affect the treatment." Huo Jekan also felt that his wife was not in good condition and said, "Let's go out and don't disturb the doctor to see the child." Zhang Lifang nodded and walked out of the ward with the support of her husband. Mrs. Huo couldn't help but feel sad when she saw her daughter-in-law like this. Her eyes turned red and she shed tears together with her daughter-in-law. It was not enough for the whole family to gather around the hospital, so Huo Jekan asked his parents to go home first, and the couple stayed here for the time being. Huo Jekian wanted to stay, but he was worried about his second brother and sister going back, so he didn't insist and left with his parents. Song Chunli was responsible for delivering meals to the hospital and comforting Zhang Lifang. Although Zhang Lifang's relationship with Song Chunli was average, she accepted the love in her heart now that they were bringing food to them. For 3 days, there was still no movement from Huo Yingzhe. Zhang Lifang was about to collapse, and she was in a daze. "Finally, I got an injection and had a good sleep. After my condition improved, I rushed to the hospital immediately. Lifang, I know you are worried about your son, but you have been like this. When your son wakes up, you will collapse too." Huo Jekan comforted, "Look, Yingzhe's examinations are all fine, and he will be fine." Zhang Lifang has heard so many words like this that she no longer believes it. "Since everything is fine, why doesn't our son wake up?" Zhang Lifang asked, very puzzled. Zhang Lifang is a doctor. She can also see from some data that Huo Yingzhe's condition is getting better, but she doesn't know why he doesn't wake up. It does not conform to objective laws. "I guess this kid is too tired and wants to sleep a little longer." Huo Jekan comforted him, "Don't worry, this kid wants to get a wife so much. He was in the base before and had no time to come out. Now he has time, so rest up. I will definitely not sleep in and wake up early to marry my wife." Huo Jekan laughed while talking, hoping that his comfort could make his wife feel more at ease. However, Huo Jekan didn't hear his wife's reaction after talking for a while. He looked down and saw his stunned wife. "What's wrong?" Huo Jekan asked, not understanding why his wife showed such an expression. Zhang Lifang pushed her husband away, ran to Huo Yingzhe, held her son's hand, and said, "Yingzhe, can you hear us?" However, Huo Yingzhe's hand remained as motionless as before, as if the previous movements were just a dazzle for Zhang Lifang. Seeing this, Huo Jekan thought his wife was in a trance again, so he quickly stepped forward and said, "Don't be like this. Lifang, my son is unconscious now. I'm really worried that you won't be able to bear it either. I'm alone." Huo Jekan was worried about his son and even more worried about his wife. Zhang Lifang seemed to have not heard anything and said to Huo Yingzhe, "That girl Tian Tian wrote a letter saying that she missed you very much, and she guessed that the letter you wrote to her was written in advance." When Zhang Lifang said this, she stared at Huo Yingzhe's hand. However, a miracle happened at this time. Huo Yingzhe's hand moved. "Lao Huo, come and see, our son has moved his hands," Zhang Lifang said hurriedly, "Look, look." However, when Huo Jekan looked at it, Huo Yingzhe's fingers stopped moving again. "Lifang, please wake up," Huo Jekan said worriedly, stepping forward to pick up his wife. When Zhang Lifang saw that her son was not moving, she cursed in her heart, Huo Yingzhe, you little bastard, I am so sad, but you don't make any move, but when you mention your sweetheart, you make a move. Son, do you want Tian Tian? Can I go pick Tian Tian over and keep you company? Zhang Lifang asked cautiously, but motioned to her husband to look at Huo Yingzhe's hand. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 480. Chapter 480 This Little Heartless Guy. 478. Originally Huo Jekan thought his wife had made a mistake, but after his wife finished speaking, his son's fingers moved. Son, wake up quickly. When you wake up, I will hold a wedding for you and Tian Tian, Huo Jekan said, then quietly stared at his son's hands with wide eyes. This time, the son's hand moved again. Lao Huo, right? Our son can hear us, Zhang Lifang said excitedly, and immediately pressed the button on her son's bedside. Huo Jekan was also very excited and nodded, I see it, I see it. The couple was so excited that they felt their son was about to wake up. After a while, Zhao Huan came over. Second uncle, second aunt, what's wrong with Yingzhe? Zhao Huan thought Huo Yingzhe's condition had worsened and felt uneasy. Huo Yingzhe hasn't woken up yet, and Zhao Huan is no longer as confident as before. Yingzhe can move his hands, Zhang Lifang said hurriedly, look, Yingzhe, Tian Tian is angry because you don't see her for so long. I saw Huo Yingzhe's fingers moving. Zhao Huan was stunned, but then he thought that it was a good sign if there was a reaction, and said hurriedly, second uncle, second aunt, please wait, I will ask the teacher to come over. Thank you for your hard work, Huo Jekan was in a good mood. As long as his son could wake up, everything else would be easy. Zhao Huan hurriedly went to see Dr. Zhang. Zhang Lifang smiled happily and scolded, this little heartless guy, I cried so much, he didn't react at all, but when he said sweet, he reacted. You see, by then, he must have married a wife and forgot damn bad thing. Haha, as long as Yingzhe can wake up, everything else doesn't matter, Huo Jekan said with a smile, don't be jealous. Speaking of Tian Tian, as long as Yingzhe can wake up, why do you care so much? Yes. Well, such a big thing happened to Yingzhe, and we were just feeling sad and didn't even tell Tian Tian. Yes, Zhang Lifang said, if I knew that Tian Tian had such a big effect, I would have sent a telegram to Tian Tian long ago. Just as he was talking, Dr. Zhang came over with a group of people. Zhang Lifang mentioned Tian Tian again, and sure enough Huo Yingzhe's fingers moved. Dr. Zhang was overjoyed and said directly, hurry up and call this Tian Tian. The young man is also a passionate person. He must like this girl very much. Maybe this girl can wake up if she talks to the patient more. Dr. Zhang is also very helpless. Huo Jekan's body is the same as that of a normal person, or even better than that of a normal person. He really doesn't know what's going on. Perhaps external stimulation is a good breakthrough. What the doctor said is that we will send a telegram right away, Huo Jekan said, letting his wife take care of his son while he went out to send a telegram. While Zhang Lifang was happy, she accused her son of forgetting his mother when he had a wife. However, Zhang Lifang really wronged Huo Yingzhe. In fact, Huo Yingzhe is in a state of collapse. That thing is so powerful that after the explosion, the fragile consciousness condensed on Huo Yingzhe's body was blown away. The reason why Huo Yingzhe reacted when he heard He Tianatian's voice was because the little turtle was directing it in the barrier. Because the little spin turtle knows that only He Tian and the Snake King can help the owner collect scattered souls and wake up. Let's say that He Tian received a telegram, which read, Yingzhe is injured, come to Yanjing quickly. He Jingyu was shocked. Old He, what happened to Yingzhe's child? Wang Shuping asked worriedly. Firstly, it was because Huo Yingzhe was her daughter's fiancé. Secondly, she had watched Huo Yingzhe grow up and felt very sorry for the child. The telegram was very brief. It just said that he was injured and I don't know what happened. He Jingyu said, I guess he wanted to go over there. How is it okay for Tian Tian to go alone? Wang Shuping asked, send Tian Tian there and see how Huo Yingzhe is doing. Tian Tian packed up her gifts and after hearing what her parents said, she said, Dad, Mom is pregnant now, so I'd better go to Yanjing by myself. No, we have to follow the etiquette. Wang Shuping said, Lao He, you go over and take a look, and I will pack your luggage. It's not the autumn harvest yet, and there are people in the Daowen, so don't worry. He Jingyu thought about it and said, okay, help me pack up the gifts, and I'll go talk to Secretary Qi. Mom, I'm even more worried since you and Grandma are at home, Tian Tian said, Huo Yingzhe's injury must be serious, otherwise he wouldn't have sent her a telegram. She didn't want to worry about Huo Yingzhe's family situation at the same time. No, we are in the village, and no one will bully us, Wang Shuping said, but you, a girl, can't go to such a far place without anyone following you. Besides, Yingzhe is injured, and you are unreasonable. Dad wants to go see it. Then you. Tian Tian also said. Jingyu smiled and said, don't argue anymore. You have a good relationship with Daniu. I'll go talk to Daniu later and ask her to come and stay at our house for a few days and help take care of your mother and grandma. Isn't that okay? Okay, actually it's fine during the day, Wang Shuping said, I might have to get up at night, but there's nothing else to do. Okay, I'll go right away. Tian Tian saluted and had already packed up. Tian Tian brought a lot of clothes. Fortunately, they were all plain in color and packed in a big bag. Jingyu brought a big basket of peaches from home as gifts. Tian Tian went to find Qi Daniu. Qi Daniu agreed on the spot and said she would go over to help after dinner. Jingyu found Secretary Qi and told him the situation, and Village Chief Qi gave him a letter of introduction. Brother Qi, I'll leave it to you to take care of things at home. Jingyu requested that Sister Qi can help with the trivial matters at home, but for some big things, Secretary Qi's help is needed. Village Chief Qi smiled and said, your son-in-law Ji Ren has his own destiny and will be fine. Don't worry about family matters. You ask Qi Daniu to take care of your daughter-in-law. I will make you famous tonight. Sister-in-law, you will take care of third aunt. You don't have to worry about the family affairs. I've also taught you how to pick the Daowen. When the time comes, just keep an eye on it. Jingyu explained that since he didn't know when he would come back, it would be better to tell him in advance. Okay, in the past 2 years, I have been following you and learning. I have learned a lot. You can go with ease. I will keep an eye on things in Daowen, Village Chief Qi said, feeling very grateful to Jingyu for his constant attention. Always keep the affairs of Kijia village in mind. Jingyu brought great benefits to Kijia village, and at the same time taught many young people in Kijia village to learn crafts. This was very valuable, and Village Chief Qi kept it in mind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 481. 479. After Tian Tian came back from Qi Daniu, she summoned the Snake King. Gilu gilu me. The voice was a little urgent, showing that Tian Tian was very anxious. The Snake King, who was practicing, felt the Snake King's anxiety and asked, what's going on? King Snake, something happened to Brother Yingzhe, can you help him? Tian Tian choked, I'm going to Yanjing, can you go with me? The Snake King hesitated for a while after hearing this. For a moment, the Snake King felt a sense of pleasure in his heart, hoping that Huo Yingzhe would do something good or even disappear. Snake King, please, Tian Tian said, the little turtle is by his side, but he is still injured. Something very serious must have happened. If you don't help me, I really don't know who can help me. He Tian burst into tears. Ever since she learned that Huo Yingzhe was injured, she had been anxious, but in front of her parents, she did not dare to show too much sadness for fear that they would be worried. Now facing the Snake King, He Tian could finally cry loudly. Because He Tian knew that there was a barrier when she was talking to the Snake King. The outside world couldn't understand her voice, so she could release it without any scruples. Seeing He Tian's tears, the Snake King lowered his head and suppressed the evil thoughts in his heart. Okay. Snake King said with difficulty, I'll help you. After saying that, he went directly from the barrier on the back mountain to the barrier on He Tian's ankle. With the Snake King following him, He Tian was slightly relieved. The omnipotent Snake King can definitely solve all problems. After He Jingyu made the arrangements, he had lunch and headed to the county seat with He Tian on a bicycle. A large bag of He Tian's gifts were all on He Jingyu's bicycle, and on the other side was a basket of peaches with He Jingyu's gifts on top. The father and daughter went directly to New Daejeon. The bicycle was left with New Daejeon. They were able to get on the bus smoothly without buying a ticket. When they got to the bus, they paid for the ticket and it was still a sleeper berth. When the train arrived at Nanji, it had to change trains. Fortunately, there was an acquaintance and the procedures were completed quickly. After waiting for half an hour, there was a train from Nanji to Yanjing. The journey was long and I bought a sleeper ticket. Along the way, He Tian has been worried about Huo Yingzhe. The Snake King in the barrier can clearly feel He Tian's mood because of his blood connection. In the barrier, the Snake King transformed into a young man and smiled bitterly. When he was going through the tribulation, the Snake King could feel He Tian's concern and worry, but it was just like caring for friends and relatives. At this time, He Tian was heartbroken, worried, and lost. These were the emotions only people have for their lover. On the way, because Huo Yingzhe was injured, He Jingyu and He Tian were not in the mood to look at the scenery on both sides of the train. They just wanted to reach Yanjing as soon as possible. When we arrived in Yanjing, it was exactly 9 o'clock in the morning the next day. New Daejeon had already helped He Jingyu send a telegram to Yanjing. Huo Jekan estimated the time and sent someone to pick him up at the train station early. Huo Jekan was moved when he saw He Jingyu coming. Brother He Tian, you have worked hard all the way, Huo Jekan said with emotion. Stop standing around and get in the car. It's not hard, Uncle Huo. How is Brother Yingzhe? He Tian asked hurriedly. She was eager to know Huo Yingzhe's situation. Huo Jekan looked at the grown-up He Tian, who was taller and more beautiful. He smiled bitterly and said, there are many people here, let's talk about it in the car. He Jingyu and He Tian felt a little bit in their hearts, feeling that something was not good. He Jingyu is an adult and a man, and he can still hold back his sadness. But He Tian couldn't help it, and tears flowed down. Seeing this, Huo Jekan said as he walked, Tian, don't worry too much. Uncle Huo, just tell me directly, what happened to Brother Yingzhe? He Tian burst into tears, attracting the attention of people around him, but He Tian didn't care at all now. When Huo Jekan saw this, he sighed in his heart. It's no wonder that his son misses He Tian. This good girl is at the top of anyone's heart. Yingzhe's physical injuries are almost healed, but he is unconscious and only reacts when your name is mentioned, Huo Jekan said, so I sent a telegram asking you to come over. I hope you can let Yingzhe wake up soon. Ah, He Tian was stunned, unconscious. What's going on? Who knows, Huo Jekan said, get in the car, and the following content cannot be said in front of outsiders. After getting in the car, the driver started the car and slowly left the train station. Something fell near Yingzhe. He was injured at the time, but it was not serious. After this period of treatment, he has recovered. But he just won't wake up. I tried all kinds of methods, but they were of little use. We are the only ones talking about it. Yingja only moves his fingers when he says your name, Huo Jekan said with a bitter face. Tian Tian, you must stay with Yingja more and let him wake up early. Huo Jekan didn't want to talk to He Tian Tian about the secret base, so he directly asked how Huo Yingja was injured. Uncle Huo, don't worry, I will stay with brother Yingja. He Tian Tian nodded, hoping to return to the hospital soon. Hearing Huo Jekan's words, He Jingyu felt conflicted. Of course, it would be best if Huo Yingja could wake up. But if you can't wake up, then, what should you do? Will my daughter guard Huo Yingja for the rest of her life? What's the difference between that and being a widow? It's just that the Huo family is in great trouble now, and He Jingyu can only hide his worries and talk about it later. Not to mention, the He family owes the Huo family a lot of favors, and even if their daughter's affection for Huo Yingja is taken into account, she will not leave. Brother Huo, don't worry, Yingja will be fine. He Jingyu comforted him. This was what he hoped for most. Otherwise, my daughter will have to face a very cruel choice again. Time seemed very long. I don't know how long it took, but He Tian Tian came to a hospital with beautiful environment and very quiet. After getting out of the car, He Tian Tian followed Huo Jekan closely and arrived in front of Huo Yingja's ward. In the ward, there were not only Mr. Huo and Mrs. Huo, but also Huo Yingjun and Huo Yingqi, who had just returned from abroad. The arrival of He Tian Tian made everyone's eyes focus on He Tian Tian. He Tianation's eyes fell on Huo Yingja. When Zhang Lifang saw He Tian Tian coming, she didn't care about letting He Tian Tian accept it. She pulled He Tian Tian over and said, Yingja, Tian Tian is here, wake up quickly. Everyone was attracted by Zhang Lifang's voice and gathered around Huo Yingja's hospital bed. In the past, Huo Yingja only moved one finger, but now there are 3 fingers moving. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 482. 480. He Tian Tian burst into tears. Every time her Yingja brother was with her, he would smile tenderly and tell him things around him. He often kissed him secretly when she wasn't paying attention, and pinched her nose lovingly. However, now Huo Yingja could only lie quietly on the bed, unable to smile, speak, or do any intimate gestures. He Tian Tian stepped forward, held Huo Yingja's hand tightly, and choked with sobs, Brother Yingja, please wake up quickly. We are all worried about you and are waiting for you. Just when He Tianation's hand touched Huo Yingja's hand, the Snake King's energy aura was successfully transmitted to Huo Yingja's body and successfully contacted the little spin turtle. The little spin turtle had also suffered a lot of trauma before, and it was already difficult for Huo Yingja to move his fingers. But with the injection of spiritual power from the Snake King, the little spinner turtle gained energy and could actually control the owner's hand and hold He Tianation's hand, so that the little spinner turtle could get more energy. Oh my gosh! Everyone was stunned when they saw Huo Yingja holding He Tianation's hand tightly. There was only body language, but Huo Yingja still didn't wake up. At this time, Zhao Huan came over with Dr. Zhang. Dr. Zhang opened Huo Yingja's eyes, took a look, pried off Huo Yingja's fingers, nodded and said, the situation is getting better. Then when will my son wake up? Zhang Lifang asked, eager to see her son wake up. This. Dr. Zhang was also in a dilemma, because a case like Huo Yingja had never appeared before, and he was not completely sure. Hey, Zhang Lifang sighed. But it's getting better, which is good, isn't it? Dr. Zhang said, since the patient likes to be with this girl, let this girl spend more time with the patient. Thank you, Doctor, He Tian Tian said gratefully. She felt that something must have happened to Huo Yingja that she didn't know about. Although she was very puzzled, she encountered many bizarre things, and after seeing more, she became less curious. Now that she has felt the little spin turtle, Huo Yingja wakes up and is just around the corner. There were so many people now, and she had no chance to communicate with the little spinner turtle. After they leave, she will definitely ask carefully. Zhang Lifang moved a stool to the side for He Tiantian. He Tiantian could not be allowed to bend over and hold her son's hand. Dr. Zhang left, and Huo Jekan introduced everyone. Father, mother, this is He Jingyu, and that is Yingjia's fiancé He Tiantian. Jingyu, these are my parents. Yingjun is the child of the eldest brother's family, you have already met. This is my eldest brother's daughter, Huo Yingqi. He Jingyu stepped forward, bowed slightly, and saluted, Uncle Huo, hello Aunt Huo. Okay, Mr. Huo stepped forward to shake hands with He Jingyu, thank you and Tian for your hard work. This is a hospital. It's not convenient to entertain guests. It's rude. I will treat you well when I go back later, Mrs. Huo said. It was a bit rude to see the He family in the ward. He Jingyu didn't care and said softly, Aunt Huo, you're welcome. Father, mother, let's go back and let Tian talk to Yingjia alone, Huo Jekan suggested, go back and help Tian get rid of more delicious food. It's been a hard journey and I can't afford to rest. I have to accompany Yingjia. Yes, Mrs. Huo said, her grandson likes this girl Tian, and they also like her. Although this is not the first time they have met, Mrs. Huo prefers this beautiful, considerate, and good girl. Tian, thank you for your hard work. Grandma will prepare delicious food for you when she goes back, Mrs. Huo said cautiously, fearing that He Tian would dislike her grandson. Thank you, Grandma. He Tian nodded and said, Dad, you go back first, I'm just fine here. Seeing the Huo family like this, He Jingyu couldn't take his daughter away to rest. Then when you are tired, just lie down and sleep for a while, He Jingyu said, we will replace you later. Yes, I understand, He Tian agreed and watched everyone leave. Everyone left one after another. Huo Yingqi walked at the end and looked at He Tian with burning eyes. No wonder my second brother likes you so much. You are indeed beautiful, Huo Yingqi said, her tone a bit stiff. This was also the first time He Tian met Huo Yingqi. Thinking of what Huo Yingqi and Zhou Yuan had done before, He Tian didn't like Huo Yingqi at all. Thank you, He Tian smiled. Even though there were still a few tears on his face, it did not affect He Tian's beauty. On the contrary, it made me feel pity for him. You are not as innocent as you appear. Seeing He Tian's performance, Huo Yingqi quickly made a judgment. No wonder Yuan would lose to He Tian. He Tian is not as good looking as He Tian, nor as scheming as He Tian, nor as a childhood sweetheart with her second brother. He Tian smiled and said, everyone will grow up. I hope you can mature as soon as possible. You are not my second sister-in-law, so you are not qualified to teach me a lesson. Huo Yingqi was a little angry. This He Tian was not older than her, and she was not the second brother's wife, so she was not qualified to teach her a lesson. He Tian was also angry. She had been worried about Huo Yingjia's health and didn't care about other people. However, this inexplicable and self-righteous Huo Yingqi kept buzzing next to her. Haha, it's true, because you don't deserve it. The corners of He Tian's mouth turned up. This is a ward now, you can go out. You do not deserve? He Tian actually looks down on her? Huo Yingqi finally couldn't hold back the anger in her heart. She felt sorry for her friend Ning Buping, and because her second brother was blind and fell in love with such a scheming girl like He Tian. He Tian, don't get carried away, Huo Yingqi said angrily, I hate you and I will never let you enter the Huo family. Haha, He Tian sneered, there are so many people who hate me, whoever you are, get out. The cautious and polite person in the previous life was not useless after being trampled on by others. In this life, He Tian will never be as weak and submissive as in her previous life. She can live a carefree and unrestrained life. Because she has the capital. So she doesn't need to look at other people's faces, especially people like Huo Yinki who don't know the so-called faces. Careful thinking, careful planning, who can't? You. Huo Yinki wanted to come over and continue the argument with He Tian Tian. Just as she was about to step forward, she was pulled back by Huo Yingjun, who came back to look for Huo Yinki. Presumptuous, Huo Yingjun said angrily, that is your second brother's fiancée and your second sister-in-law. If you are still a member of the Huo family, restrain your little thoughts and don't anger your grandparents, and your father. Brother, Huo Yinki has never seen her eldest brother so angry, and he is still angry at her sister. Shut up, Huo Yingjun scolded, turning to look at He Tian Tian. Sorry, Tian Tian, I will take her away right now. I won't let her appear in front of you. Please forgive me. The new year is almost here, and the year is about to pass. I am 1 year older and fatter, /, oh, /.